So how many of you know what doing what matters for the jobs and economy program is for the California community colleges? Ooh, awesome. So I get to tell you everything about it. So I'm going to be the fire hose today. I am going to throw so much information at you, you probably won't remember 99% of it. But as long as you got my card and you got one website, you'll be able to get a hold of everyone that you need in the state. So real quickly about me, all this talk about the studio stuff, I used to work at Fox, so I come from this industry. So I was the digital media arts instructor at Golden West College. I ran that department for 18 years. I built it up. About 8 months ago, me and my dean both left Golden West, and we became the K-14 statewide career pathway technical assistance providers under the Doing What Matters for the Jobs and Economy with the California Community College Chancellor's Office. That is my full title, so it's a nice big long German title, right? Really, when it comes down to it, I'm the career pathways tab for California community colleges. They threw the K through 12 on us about 3 months ago, just recently. Now we're doing adult ed block and prisons because career pathways crosses everything, right? And we also have an industry component. So I come from industry and faculty. My partner, who's on the back of the card, Angela Allison, she's Southern California. I'm actually Northern California, but I live in Orange County. So I commute to the Bay Area. I commute all the way north. I rack up, I'm A-list, I'm that jerk at the airport that's like, get out of my way, I just want to get my airplane and go. So I do a lot of flying, a lot of driving. So everything north of Bakersfield is my territory to the Oregon border and back and forth, and then Angela's everything south. But we cross over into the sectors. So if you want to go do a Google search for me, you can find all my stuff. One of the big things here, and I just pass around the Adobe stuff, before I took this role, and I continue in the role, I am your Adobe education leader for Southern California too. There's about 250 of us worldwide. We advocate for digital literacy, which is this year, but creativity in the classrooms, and the Adobe Creative Cloud. That's what I advocate for on that end of the world. It's a volunteer position too. I don't get paid by them. But that's my corporate shill for today. And if you want to talk about Wacom stuff, how many of you have Wacom tablets? I'm one of their booth artists as well. So you might have seen me at the Game Developer Conference if you're up there. I do all the Comic Cons, all that type of stuff. So I do get around as much as I possibly can. The nice thing is my personal life and my business education life cross over, and so I get to do everything together for the most part. But my site's there. You can take a look. I've been in this industry for about 20 years, and I'm a designer. So I've worked in television, film. I was web early on, print. I know how to run a linotype machine. I know how to use the Ames lettering guide. And the story, a few of you know what that is, right? I know how to strip film. I know how to run a waxer. I know how to run a stack camera. So now, if you put me in front of one, it's going to take me a little while, like riding a bike. But I came in about 20 some odd years ago, right at the change from analog to digital. So I got to learn the analog and went digital on it. So I still teach. Actually, today was first day of class for my online. I teach a second 8-week online introduction to web design course. It's all WordPress now. It's a college level course. I stopped teaching Dreamweaver many moons ago. And I got 118 in that class starting off. So it'll be a fun 8 weeks. So all my stuff's on here, all my videos, my tutorials. Some of you, if you've ever on the Adobe Education Exchange, you've heard my voice. I've narrated a ton of stuff for them. I've done hundreds of videos on that end of the world as well. I'm also been doing the data video. Any of you have data video equipment in your high schools? Okay, so you've probably heard my voice there too. So been around, been doing this for a little while. So I bring all that to the table. Now I actually represent a total of 11 sectors. So you're all, there's no community college people in here, right? I think I'm the only one in like the whole building right now. You have 15 sectors in the CDE. The community colleges decided that's not good enough. We're only going to do 11. And so we do not match up at all when we start crosswalking. So when we talk about AME, it doesn't exist in the community colleges. It's ICT digital media. And some of the things that are in AME are considered academic, like dance. Dance is an academic pursuit in the colleges. It is not a career technical education pursuit. So we've got pathway issues. We call them crosswalk issues between our two programs. So those will pop up. Language, if I get going too fast, I will throw out acronyms, and we have an acronym issue as well. Acronyms in the community colleges mean something completely different than they do in the K-12 system. So part of my job is to help bridge all those things. And this is my site. It's on the card. It's called Career Pathway CA. This is something that's real important. If you haven't read it, you need to read it. It's the Task Force Workforce Report on the State Economy. This was, the California Community Colleges put this together through the Chancellor's Office. Our Board of Governors actually put it into play. How many of you heard of SSSP at all? It's different than SSP. I know there's, once again, acronyms. There was an initiative about 4 years ago at the community colleges to get students ready going through their process from high school to college, going through and doing their academic planning and everything. What they did was they put a bounty out. So for every one of those they completed, the community colleges got paid. And so that worked really well. The schools wanted the money, so they made sure everyone signed up, did all their stuff. We're inching that way with this. It was built around the same system. But this task force report is what drives my job now. Everything I do goes back to this report. I have to prove that what we're doing in the field matches up to these task force recommendations from the Board of Governors. So read it, it's there. There's one other thing on this website that I really encourage you if you're interested, because we are really trying to get our CDE partners. And once again, we talk in our own language. When we talk about K through 12 at the Chancellor's Office, we call it the CDE. It's not K through 12, it's the CDE, California Department of Education. They're in another building down the street. So when I say CDE, I mean everyone in the state that's K through 12. But we're really trying to get our CDE partners, not just in Sacramento, but in the regions, working with me and my partner. We have the statewide pathway alignment groups. You can sign up on our website. We're looking for everyone to get involved in this. We have industry. There's one for data. If you love data, I don't run that one. My data people do. It's boring. And there's just tons of data that they talk about. But dual enrollment, secondary to post-secondary articulation, or just articulation, as well as career pathways. We're actually meeting tomorrow in Fontana for the career pathway one. So we have about 50 people flying in from all over the state to do work groups, not just to get lectured at. I got 5 minutes to talk, and everyone better do something after that. We're spending an entire day together. And these grew out of a very grassroots effort, and I'm going to get into where it came from in a second, because that's probably the more important thing for most of you in here, is what help is available out in the field. But the SPAs are here. You can read all about, like if you want to read about the dual enrollment group, we have all of our links and everything is here. We're very open. We're very transparent about what we do. That was our last call in February. There's 2 face-to-face meetings per year, one in the north, one in the south, and then there's 2 phone calls. So it's not a huge commitment. The phone calls are an hour. But what we're trying to do is we're gathering information from the field, because in the end my job is to help recommend through the Chancellor's Office and all them what's happening in the field, where legislation is going to go with career technical education from our level, but now with the K through 12s as well. So we work all together. We're looking at all this. We got to write white papers and all the other fun things that go along with it. But in the end, we're there to be in the field, to hear and be the eyes and ears too. Talk to us as well, because it happens in K through 12. Because I was K through 12 teacher too, so I have my AME credential. So I taught in LA Unified. I still hold my credential. I taught for many years at the community college, and I taught at a Division I school as well. I wrote a program for Concordia. So I've been at all the different levels in the teaching side. But with that said, I know information doesn't flow very well. Trust me. I'm in the middle of it. It's bad. You think it's bad, it is worse than you can think. Like in our system, our Chancellor's Office sends everything to the deans and the presidents. 0% of it gets through. Nothing, no programs, nothing ever gets through those offices. Because those people get like 10,000 email a day. They see their own Chancellor, delete, 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 delete. And they're friends of mine, and they admit it. They go, nah, we don't forward any of it. We don't have time to do that. So we're really trying to figure out how to make this communication better across the board. And that's difficult. I don't have an answer for it, but we're trying. So anyway, all this information, like I said, it's a fire hose. One of the other resources we have is a CTE glossary and acronym. So we've actually, when I say we, me and Angela have sat down and gone through all of our systems. Like, how many of you know about the UCCI, which is the University of California Curriculum Integration Group? So a few of you do. That's the A through G system. So what we've done is we've tried to really break this down, give you a short synopsis, and give you the links back to the original stuff. My favorite's DE. Does anyone know what DE stands for? And dual enrollment, right? It's not that in community colleges. It's distance education. No one calls it DE in our system, but in the K through 12 they call it DE. It's dual enrollment. So those are the issues when we all start talking. It's English, but we don't understand the English that we're speaking. And so this is there for you. We also have my calendar's kind of so-so. We got tasked with building a statewide calendar of all meetings and conferences in all systems. I'm getting there. It's tough. It's all over the place, but we're getting better. So we're doing an inventory, it should be up this week, of every major convention in the state of California, in all sectors, broken down by sectors, at every facility. I have a research assistant who's been working on it for 3 weeks. But when she's done, you'll be able to say, show me all of the education conferences in the state of California and where they are. And you'll be able to sort by it. Problem is, I got to have her also update everything. This is not an automatic system. But our grant says we have to do these things, so you can see here it's not 100%, like this one's not on here. Well, I'm here, so I guess it works out good. So anyway, this is and I say ours, me and my partner's site. We have a lot of information up here, a lot of news on dual enrollment on the federal level as well. We work on the federal level with WIOA. How many of you know what WIOA is? W-I-O-A. Workforce Investment Opportunity Act. It will change everyone's lives in here. I guarantee it right now. So December, the local one, so I'm not going to do a whole history of WIOA, but the best thing to do is if you don't know what it is, do a Google search and pull up the Wikipedia. Whoever wrote it actually knew what they were doing. And this is it here. Innovation, sorry. Workforce Innovation and Opportunity Act. And so it went into effect last year. The president signed it into law. It's it's to reform the entire workforce system in the United States. And like weird things like the Peace Corps got totally revamped because of it. The IRS is involved in this. So it's a huge reaching piece of legislation. It is driving what we're doing. So how many of you get Perkins? Perkins 5 is coming next year. I can guarantee that. Well, I shouldn't say I guarantee it. We think it is. I've been talking with the senators from Washington State. They're the ones who are going to be putting it in. They're the ones writing it right now. And the new language for Perkins 5 will be 100% WIOA language. They are using WIOA as the backbone for the new Perkins legislation. So everything you've done up to this point is going to be much different when Perkins 5 gets enacted next year, hopefully next year. So, and that's no longer a rumor. That's pretty much fact across the board. So these are things that are affecting you at a much higher level. But in the classroom, what I always use as a good example is under WIOA, there's 7 questions that are asked now that make you a career pathway. So there's a definition too. Up to this point, we haven't had a definition for what a career pathway is. WIOA defines it. So there is a definition there. I got to pull it up here. But if you want, email me and I will send you a whole bunch of documentation from CLASP. So C-L-A-S-P. Sorry, I know it's a world of acronyms. It's the policy. It's these guys here. We work with them. Once again, so many. I live in the world of them, but this is CLASP. We're based out of Washington, D.C. They wrote some massive reports on California that broke down everything. Every single grant in the state of California has been broken down under WIOA law. And what they did was they went through 7 columns and said, have you heard of CalFresh, which is at the community college level you get food vouchers if you're a certain income level. They actually took CalFresh, broke it down, and said it's missing these components to be WIOA. Like these are the things you need to do to fix your grant so you fall under WIOA guidelines. Even AB 288, Assembly Bill 288, which was on dual enrollment, it didn't meet WIOA requirements. And they said, no, you're missing a column. So getting back to WIOA and how it affects you in the classroom, yes, there's all these funding structures and everything else. Hopefully your Office of Ed and everyone's working on that and doing it. But in the classroom, under the language, one of the columns is, do you have a third-party industry recognized certification as part of your program? And that's number 7. It's the 7th one. So for us, digital media arts, that's the Adobe Certified Associate exams. You're going to have it as part of your program at some point to clear yourself for Perkins. So what I'm doing right now is running around telling everyone, get as far along as you can right now, because when Perkins finally drops, if you're not ready, there's no way you can roll out a program in a couple months for the ACAs or for your Autodesk or a welding program or any of those things. You won't be ready. And we call it the train wreck. And we kind of jokingly say it, but it really is come December when all of this really hits. December, the locals, I'm going to back up here real quick, give you a little bit of context. So WIOA's, the federal plan went in last year. The state plans went 3 days ago, April 1st. Today's 4th or 5th. What is today? Anyway, April 1st, the state plan was due to the federal government, no exceptions. They gave them 30 days because that blizzard hit during the convention and no one went. So they gave them an extra 30 days. So the state plan is, if you do a Google search for the WIOA California state plan, you'll find it. It's all written, it's been submitted to the federal government. How many of you work with your local workforce development boards, your WIBs? Okay, so your WIBs are responsible for writing your local plans that affect all of us. And those are due in January. They're due on my birthday, January 22nd. So what that means is, and I'm the first one to stand up here and say, we have a horrible, I shouldn't say everyone, but the relationships between the WIBs and the community colleges is not great. They're writing a local plan that's going to affect us. It's going to affect you. It's going to affect all these other things that are happening. Some areas are doing very well. The Bay Area, they're doing it well. LA and Orange County, San Diego is okay too. But without our voices in there, those plans are going to be written without any of our input, and guess what's going to happen? We're going to have to adhere to those plans at some point. The state plan was well thought out. It was long term. But within that, I hate to do sections, but Section 108A or Section 108B is the one that actually talks about third-party certifications in your local plan. So in your classroom, that's where it comes down to. That's the easiest thing to wrap your head around. You go, okay, how can we do certification in the classroom? Question?
I'm just trying to wrap my head around this. I'm not sure about this, but did you say that Carl Perkins as a program is going away?
No,
this year?
it's being rewritten. So there's Perkins 5 is going to be submitted to Congress next year. We're under Perkins 4 right now.
And Perkins 5 will require third
It'll be wrapped around the WIOA. I can't tell you right now what the final legislation is going to be, but what's been written and what I've heard and working with the Fed stuff, it's going to use the WIOA language, which that's part of. So eventually it's going to kind of flow all the way through. Question back.
What does it say about the CTE certification thing that's happening? There's a big buzz about all the teachers need CTE credentials.
Okay.
CTE credentialing.
I don't know for sure, but I got the two people. I sit on one of the boards for the statewide. This morning they had their call about that. And so UC Berkeley, Annie Johnson up there, and Amy Kaufman in the Orange County Department of Ed have just like our SPA, they started their own group in the state of California to address the issues with that. And if you do have teachers who need to get it certified, I went through that program in the Orange County Department of Ed. 4 months, about $3,000, and I got my credential. I walked out the door with my credential. So there are programs in the state of California that are addressing. You have an engineer who's coming back who's retired and wants to teach. I think San Diego, Orange County, and I think there's one in the Bay Area. Ventura, and there's a Bay Area one.
But the problem is that for a lot of teachers, they don't have that industry experience. So how do they get that?
That's what I'm talking about industry people coming in. You're talking about the other way. That's a huge issue right now, is getting them the hours that they need in the industry to get their CTE credential, so a math instructor who may have been teaching some Photoshop can actually legitimately go into the system and get their Perkins funding as well. That group, talk to me, because if you want to be on that group, there is major discussions going on about legislation on that and everything else. I'm on the periphery of it, just watching. I got them together. I got everyone. I said, here, you guys go deal with this.
That's what I was thinking about with the last thing was here with that whole externship for teachers on film sites.
Yeah, that's...
Will that count towards if the teacher wants to...
Yeah, actually that would. That's part of it. They're really trying as a group, and I say it's this grassroots effort, is to build programs like that to get the amount of hours that they need, putting them out in the field or other ways of doing it. But I know it's a huge issue because we had a school in Orange County where they lost all their instructors. They had to drop the entire program because none of them qualified to go through the Orange County Department of Ed program. And what the principal did? Shut the whole thing down. Just said, nope, we're done, out the door. And so now she teaches fashion design because it doesn't fall under the CTE group, and she was fine, I'll just do what you tell me. And the newspaper. So journalism and that, because she had an English degree. But anyway, those are, yes, to answer your question, there is major talks going on. UC Berkeley is actually the one pushing for it. It's their department. Annie Johnson is her name. So, I'm sorry, you had a hand pop up.
That's okay. I had a question about student certifications. Do you know if Perkins will be able to pay the
Yes.
fees for student certifications?
I'll say yes. I'll put my career on the line on that one, because at the federal level, we were at a conference. The head dude got up there and said, I don't know what anyone's talking about, but yes, it can be used. I could say at the community college 100%, yes, it can be, because I did it. We rolled out the Adobe Certified Associate and paid for it through our Perkins money. And Jean-Claude is our, you guys aren't, sorry, you're CD, I keep forgetting, but if you need on my side of the world, I know all of the grant monitors up there. And
do you know if I can write that into my Perkins application for 16, 17?
email me, and I'll get you in contact with the person with the CD just to make sure you get the language that you need. That's the key. So your local people, this is my other thing I'm going to tell everyone is, sorry, I see your hand back there, but I get on the bad side of administrators sometimes, because the first thing I always say is, they go, no, you can't do that. You can't do that. I go, show me in Title V where I can't do it, and show me in the Perkins legislation where I can't do that. Well, we've always done it that way. I go, no, show me. And they kind of get mad at me at that point, because it means more work. But you have to be your own advocates now, too. Your administrators will, I love my administrators to death. I mean, my old boss is my partner, but sometimes the easy way out's just saying no. And so you got to advocate for yourself. Same thing I tell my students, you have to advocate for yourself. Your counselors aren't going to do it because they're just overworked. So you got to walk in and say, ask the right questions, or at least be assertive. And that's not always the easiest thing to do. I'm sorry, in the back.
No, it's okay. I can just say for a fact that we can ask for Perkins, because we did this year for a Perkins grant. We certified to get students certified in Adobe. I think the requirements around it are, it has to be a part of their grade. It's not like an optional thing. It has to be, everyone has to have access to it. I mean, that kind of thing. But and I don't know going forward what's going to be like. Yes, Perkins can pay for it, but it has to be a part of their grade. It has to be part of your curriculum.
Got it. The language we got in the past was that it has to be a requirement for progression to the next level. So we were only able to offer it to juniors, you know?
No, I took my capstone class. That I had not heard of. The piece that I was told by my director was it has to be part of the grade, everyone has to have access, and it has to be in your curriculum.
I'll get the language for you. I know the people on the CD side in Sacramento, and it's just, we're doing it across the board. I got one district who's buying it for the entire district. They're going to use their new incentive money that they got, the matching money, and they're buying the whole 9 yards for the entire district. So they're walking. And if you need to know the Certiport people, Francie Stewart is California. Yeah, Francie's awesome. She used to be community college. She switched over, and Brent Clark, they did the flip-flop. So I've been working with Brent for years. I've been working with Francie. And I wrote, if you're doing the Photoshop or Illustrator, I wrote some of the questions in that one.
And they're doing Premiere. It's perfect.
Okay, the Premiere one's not easy. I haven't passed it yet. Good. But just an FYI, Florida, you cannot leave an academy in Florida unless you pass the ACA. The whole state, they generate more ACA exams, past exams, than anywhere else in the world, the state of Florida. So they integrated it from the top down. That ain't going to happen in California. But anyway, Certiport. So anyway, all this stuff that I'm throwing at you, I know it's a lot of information. So where can you go to get the resources that you need? So I talked about my stuff. I showed you our site. This is the middle of our world. It's the Doing What Matters website. On my card, the website's on there, or just Google Doing What Matters. And so here's home, the overview. Whoops. This is our entire, I like to call it the framework that the California Community Colleges have set up under the Workforce Development Department. So I'm not under the academic. I'm under Workforce Development. So our chancellor, we have the chancellor, the vice chancellor, and then we have all of our people in the office. Then we have the TAPS, which is what I'm one of. I'm technical assistance provider. It's a term used too. They just hired TAPS for the CCPT grants. So how many of you are under a CCPT grant? You got new TAPS. Tammy Holloway from Napa is the head one, and they have 7 of them. So they're our equivalent now. They go out and help in the field. They have one statewide who's Tammy, that is like us, and then we also have regional TAPS too. But I'm going to go through the structure here in a second. So there's help coming from the CDE side, just like us as well.
So where are you coming from again?
I'm community colleges.
Okay, but because we're different though, because we did a consortium of our community colleges.
RC, yeah, you went with your regional consortia.
Right.
Yeah. So and every area is different.
Right.
So
do we use
both?
Both.
Mm-hmm. It's going to be a both thing. There's going to be things we can't help with that they can. Because our umbrella, like if this was us, we only go this far over. We don't go all the way. So there's certain things I can't help with. I can always point in the right direction. But all this stuff here, read it. There's tons of regional data, all of our stuff. We have a 2.0 coming out real soon, but don't worry about that. It's just an overhaul of what we're doing. And we've been around about 3 years now. So I've been on about 8 months. I came in the middle because they needed taps for the career pathways. The resource map is going to be where you're going to get the most information. So I'm going to use Ventura, South Central Coast is what we call it. And oh, these don't match up to the CTE areas either. They overlap. It's a total mess. Like someone right now in our office is trying to build an interactive map of the CSUs, the UCs, community colleges, and CDE, and how they overlap. And I go, yeah, good luck on that. That ain't ever going to happen. I go, it really won't because, and then you got the other regions for other groups. But when you click on it, you're going to get all the Central Coast contacts, labor market reports, and more. If you click here, it'll take you into everything you need for the Central Coast area. So if you're from San Luis Obispo all the way down to the LA County line, but some of LA is also part of it. Santa Clarita's part of it. Palmdale's part of it. It doesn't make any sense. But I don't know who drew these maps. But each of these areas, and for most of you in here, it's going to be ICT Digital Media is the person. So Paula Hodge, I love Paula. She's out of College of the Canyons. And then Steve Wright is the sector navigator. So these are regional people that help in each of the sectors. These are the 11 sectors. Sorry, they don't match up to the 15. Then you have a statewide person, so they're a lot like me. As a TAP, they're the sector navigator. I hate these terms. They don't make any sense. Like, what's a deputy sector navigator? We just use the acronyms, DSNs now. I wish they were just like the regional resource director or something. At least you know what they were. But these are the people that have resources, industry contacts, they're working with your local community colleges, and most importantly now, last year and this year, each of these people were awarded $100,000 to work with connections with K through 12. So $7.2 million was released about a month and a half ago, and it's now finally hitting the ground running. And part of that money is to connect with K through 12. It's very specific money. It came from SB 1070, which was Senate Bill 1070. But if you look at these, global trade and logistics, health, what I really want to point out here is we're not in silos anymore. If you start looking around what we're doing, like when they were talking about all the film stuff, the first thing that popped in my head was all the construction unions, all the electrical unions, all the electric people, all that stuff. HVAC. HVAC's a huge part of the movie industry. There's got to be stuff going on in HVAC. That falls under energy and efficiency. Ag is huge. We did an event with the DJI helicopters down here in San Diego, and they were doing it for agriculture and for other things going on. So it's more than just us thinking, oh, we're ICT Digital Media, or we're the arts, media, and entertainment. These are the people here to help you out. Their emails are here. Then down here, regional consortia. I keep throwing all these other terms. Each area has what we call regional consortia. It's all of the schools together. It's not like a Department of Ed. It is a conglomerate of everyone. If you're in the Inland Empire, you got a kick-ass regional consortia. I love those people. Ventura, they're great. If you get up into the north, the Bay Area Consortia, they took all of these regions and made it into one giant consortia. LA Orange County has one. San Diego County. The Central Valley has one as well. This is community college. I'll tell you right now, very few K through 12 representation. I go to these meetings, there might be one superintendent from one district in this group. And how many of you have been getting calls from your community college partners or wanting to be partners? You know why? We can't spend our money unless we have CDE partners. Our money's braided. So you're going to start getting more and more and more calls out of the blue. You know, oh, you're a digital media arts department. We're a digital media thing at, I don't know, Shasta College. Guess what? You guys want to partner on a bunch of stuff? And you don't know why they're calling. It's just like, oh, we want to be nice and partner. No, they want their $100 million. So they're trying to get their partners lined up. And by not having that K through 12 representation, right now, we're not going out and looking for it other than for our own selfish reasons, usually at the schools. It's like, okay, we'll partner with someone we know to get the money. But at a much wider level, it's starting to get better. I know Ventura, you guys are fairly integrated up there. But you get to some other regions and they're not. There's no K through 12 people sitting in these regional consortiums. Sorry, go ahead.
And it doesn't, for these,
is all CTE driven, but I'm not going to ever discourage anyone from hitting up our small business people if you're a business program. Global trade and logistics, I have a lot of friends in that area. We do a lot of foreign trade and all that, especially Los Angeles and the Bay Area and all that. They're always looking for ways to integrate because that's not really a sector. How many of you have a global trade and logistics program? You know, once again, no one does. So how do they integrate with your K through 12s if no one has it? They have to get a little bit more creative.
We're actually starting a logistics program next year.
So where are you guys located?
McFarland.
McFarland, that's up in Central Valley, right?
Just north of Bakersfield.
So, person you need to talk to is Jeanette Benson. She's great. So that's one of the people, that's who you're, and you notice it's emergent. We have other labels, but it is a growing one, especially with all the transportation, shipping, and trucking in the Central Valley. And I would also talk to the Inland Empire people because that's huge in the Inland Empire. So it's thinking outside your areas. I know, who is in Bakersfield back there? Your ICT guy is Dennis. I like Dennis. He's a real good guy. So hit him up, find out what he's doing with his $100,000. I don't know, to be honest. I can't keep track of 72 people's projects. So that's why this is here. The other person, the regional consortia chair, like for you is Carrie Hammerstein. She actually is the head of all the agriculture as well for the Central Valley. So she's really tied in. And then Bob Hawks is my equivalent at the regional level. So I'm a TAP at the state level. Every region has a regional TAP. And so Bob Hawks, he's in Bakersfield up there. I don't know if you've met him. Sorry I'm picking on you over there. But small business, all these, you'll notice not every region has everything either. There are some regions that, let's go to the far north, just because they're my favorite. It's far away to travel. So you notice it's a little bit shorter list. They don't have everything that other regions do. So it's a lot of information, a lot of stuff. Every school is listed here too. So all the resources by each community college. This is where I send everyone to get started. You have to reach out. If you start thinking about it, like the far north, every school's 2.5 hours apart for the community colleges. Orange County, I have 9 schools. All of them are 25 minutes apart, including 2 of the largest schools in the state. So it's the demographics are different. Ag is huge up in the far north, and not for the reasons you think. The Emerald Triangle, everyone know that. The legislation's going through right now. I heard, rumor is the first program for marijuana growing is going to probably up in the far north, a full-blown program at one of the schools. They can't ignore it. It's a huge part of what they're doing up there. So I'm just like, whatever, if that's what you guys want, do it. And it was a bipartisan legislation too. It's an assembly bill that's going through. And it was farmers because they're worried about their water usage up in the far north. So these are the things that kind of all tie together. Health, all those things. You'd be surprised how much crosses over with what we're doing in the AME, ICT digital media. We're in every single industry. Just like some of these others are, like global trade and logistics, I love selling that one. It is in every single industry that I talk to. I go to the comic book conventions, and that's what I sell when I'm talking with the bigger publishers, is where you print your stuff. You're printing it in China, great, you're shipping it over. That's global trade and logistics. Who's involved in that? And a lot of times it's UPS, the port, but you'd be surprised how wide this net gets cast. And so my big thing is think outside the box here. Advanced transportation, there's tons of stuff we can do with those people. All of them are looking for this as well. They're hammered. So the people who go to them and are their friends, guess what happens? They're the ones who usually get the money. I mean, that's just human nature. It's even with me. The people who follow up with me and they're on my radar, they're the first ones I think of when things pop up. So, question?
So when we partner with our community colleges, what's in it for us? Like, what are some of the best practices that you've seen?
Start off with so there's money, first of all. So there's the incentive or enhancement. Oh, there's just so much of this stuff. One of the two, I can't remember which one now, but that was, you had to partner. That was the 60% money that came out. 40% went to the school, 60% went to the region. There's going to be more, well, don't hold me to that, but there's going to be more money like that coming very soon. Then we just had the CCPT grants. A lot of them you had to partner. And so those are kind of the bigger picture. But if you want to partner with your local community college, what my goal is with everyone, and this is where the career pathway comes in, is how can we build a career pathway from middle school to industry? And there's lots of different ways to do that. Some people go off to a 4-year, but chances are most of them are going to go through some type of technical program. So how much can we start really at high school? I'm guessing you teach high school, right? So my thing is, how do we get credit for that student while they're sitting in the classroom for college? And so starting off, the easiest way is articulation agreements, credit by exam. And those are really teacher to teacher. I do have, and I can send it to you, there is a state, well, I shouldn't say statewide, the East Bay and Bay Area wrote a articulation handbook. So it is a big fat handbook that shows you how to do everything, best practices, all those things. It just got released about 3 weeks ago. And it grew out of this whole doing what matters. They all got together and said, we need this. That's a good example of this system working. So I can give that to you, and all that information is the easiest way, because it's really just an agreement between the school, the college teacher, and the high school teacher. The next step is dual enrollment. And so dual enrollment's a little trickier because now you're dealing with boards and you're dealing with a lot of other things happening. But they're pushing the laws. AB 288 was passed to help clear up Title V issues. I have lots and lots of best practices. Santa Barbara Community College, for those of you know, they've been doing it longer than anyone else. Diane Holmes is the person up there. They do the Get Focused, Stay Focused as well, which is a whole, any of you do Get Focused, Stay Focused? So Get Focused, Stay Focused is an awesome program.
Awesome.
And it's yeah, my son, I made my son do it, and he's not even in it, and he got mad. He goes, well, just do it. Do the book. So what Get Focused, Stay Focused is, it's a 10-year career exploration planning, and it's curriculum, and it's wrapped around dual enrollment. So up in the Carpinteria district, which is near Santa Barbara, it is so ingrained in their system that every student has to do it while they're in high school. It's a graduation requirement. When they're finished, they get 9 units of college credit at Santa Barbara City College on their transcript. It's automatic when they walk through.
It's called what again?
Get focused, stay focused. So
Similar to Naviance.
yeah, Naviance actually plugs in with it now. The difference is, everyone always asks me, sorry, I'm going to go on a little sales pitch here just because I've been through so many meetings, but Naviance, for those of you who use it, it is career path, but it's not a full curriculum. Get Focused, Stay Focused is a full curriculum, and the two plug in with each other now. Yeah, they have a plug-in. So, and actually to highlight Ventura, what they did was, this is what I really want to see happen. They did dual enrollment in Santa Barbara, but what Ventura did was they got, I think it was Moore Park College, and one of the high schools got it through as an A through G course. So it's a G course in the UC A through G. So it's an elective, which means the counselors will put those students in there. It doesn't have to be like you have to do it. And actually, just on the A through G stuff, getting back to kind of answer your question, what I look for, whenever you're doing dual enrollment, make sure on your side of the fence that you're going after the A through G. So if it's wood shop, you better figure out a way to make it A through G, because how many of you are counselors in here? Any of you? Okay, good. You won't yell at me when I no. Counselors are great people, but when they sit down, and this happened to my son, he's already in middle school, they're like, oh no, you have to take all A through G. And I said, no, you're not. You're not taking any A through G. I don't want you in those classes. I wanted them in the shop and everything else, but they don't have much. But by putting our CTE programs into the A through G system, even if we don't want to, I have my own feelings about it. But what I tell everyone is, if we can do that, then the counselors, it's an option on the table when the counselors start picking classes for those students. Oh, look, this is A through, it's a G class. Oh, but it's auto. There's auto classes that fall under G. Oh yeah, you could take that. That's great. Now you have your UC. You're all set. You can keep going. And then on the other side of it, when you're working with your community college, you want to make sure there's CID, C-ID, and that's our statewide ID system. And if we do both of those things, then that class that they take in high school, they get a B. They get it on their transcript. It's a UC A through G, so it's a grade bump as well for them if they're going to go to a UC. But when it gets to the community college side, it will transfer to any school in the state. And then probably transfer, the other thing I always tell everyone is, on the community college side, make sure it's at least CSU, if not UC and CSU. UC is a little tougher, but what that means is it's raw units. So they got 9 or 12 or 15 or 30 units of stuff before they ever leave high school. Yeah, and not even transferable, it's on their transcript. I mean, they're walking in as, the first year, they've already knocked out a whole semester. And that's huge for the parents, selling that to them.
Both of my sons were able to do that.
The dual enrollment.
It only cost me 3 years of college, which is huge. Wow.
I have a friend who, she's actually kind of working for us right now. She went to Davis. She walked in as a junior when she was 18. She had 66 units of credit finish, and she bombed her SATs. I mean, it was bad. I was like, whoa, what do you do? Just like scribble on your SATs? She just wasn't that great of a high school student. She had a 4.0 in community college at 18. She got letters from Haas School of Management. She ended up going to Davis for medical. And she went in as a junior at 18. So he only had to do 2 years of paying for it. That's an extreme case. I would like to see every student at least get 9 units before they leave. Maybe 12. That's a full semester out the door. And this is also general ed. I'm talking about CTE. A lot of programs like Mount San Jacinto out in the Inland Empire, they started with general ed. They've got something like 3,000 students enrolled. My nephew's in there. They dropped AP and IB at their high school. My sister got this letter. She sent it to me. She's like, I don't understand this. I read it. I go, they got rid of AP and IB at their campus. They replaced it all with dual enrollment. So that's a whole other argument we can go down. That's, yeah, I'm not even going to open up that can of worms right now. But the other thing, too, is we are, and I say we, I'm working on it along with another person who worked for the UCs to get a grade bump for articulated courses for the UCs. And it looks like it's going to happen. It'll be about a year, but it's going to go through the system. The UCs were like, yeah, sure. And that was kind of they were like, yeah, we can just make a checkbox and we're okay. Our argument from our side of the world's been, and the person doing it, Don Davies-Roget, he wrote the articulation handbook too, and he helped build the A through G system, so I always give him a lot of guff for that. But he's the one going to the UCs, and what he basically argued was, if it's AP and IB and honors getting a grade bump, why is articulation not getting it? Because it's a college course. And so we're hoping to see it. I know San Diego County already did it. We were at a meeting and they were talking about it. So the San Diego County area did it. We're looking at a statewide change, a policy change. So we're hoping that happens in the next year or two. That will help that argument for articulation credit by exam too. All those people that you saw up there, the regional TAPs, their job is to do the articulation agreements and help with you on that. So,
our general session is about 3 minutes away.
All right. So anyway, I know it was like a fire hose of information. That's why I passed around my cards. If you have very specific questions, please email me. If I don't know the answer, I'm going to fall back on all my people and go, you know, if you're from Bakersfield or San Diego or whatever, go look. You know, if you're the Bay Area, Sharon Turner and Janine Kaiser are my 2 people up there. They will be able to find the answer for you or work with you for that answer as well. So we're here to help. That's probably when it's all said and done. We do have an entire system in the community colleges that's been built to support all of our education across the board. And like I said, I'm always more than happy to help. If you have other events, I always try to go to as many as I can. So I fly around and do all that. Just tell us and we'll try to make it. If not, we'll say sorry, but we'll pass it along to the right person sometimes too. Anyway, sorry, a lot to throw at you, but hopefully that gives you a little bit better idea.